Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Hi, Usman. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm good.
Good afternoon, Dilly. How are you guys? Um, uh, it's, I'm a little, surprised that I see only two people here. Let me check how many are in the forum. Yeah, I have more people in the forum. At least I see six people. So I guess they are going to be joining us shortly. We'll take a couple of minutes, and it looks like a lot of people are still in the building. A lot of people are still coming to the campus and still in the building. Trying to connect with the uh, bad, poor reception there, right? I think the Wi-Fi is poor in the hallway, um, in the lobby. Uh, so maybe it's difficult to connect uh, with uh, with the weak signal. Uh, but okay, let me. I just posted. I see only still six people. Um, just to bring you up to speed. So I just posted today about our uh, yeah, return the announcement about the return to in-person mode, but that will be effective next Monday, right? Hopefully, some people misunderstood this as today. Today is not the 28th, of course. It's not next Monday. It's this Monday, right? Today is this Monday. Um, so until then, we will still continue. Until then, we will continue to meet still online. What's happening with the rest of the group? Is there any one of you who's connecting from the campus? Is any one of you connecting from?
Oh yeah, Professor, I'm in the campus.
And in Fitterman, you're in Fitterman building, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how many how many people are there around you?
Oh, I'm there with two people.
Only two. Okay,
Yeah.
so all righty. Some people must be trying to connect, from somewhere. But as I said, okay, I see more people now. As I said, we are returning to in-person mode starting next Monday. Okay, next Monday. So until then, we will still meet online, right? Okay, so now that we have at least five people, and which is still far below what I see in the forum. Uh, it's just about the number of people I see on the what's going on. And you must understand that in 2 hour class, in 2 hour session, if your timestamp is past 20 minutes, right? 3:20 in other words. If your timestamp is after 20 minutes past the hour, then you're late. And in 1 hour session, if your timestamp is 10 minutes after the hour, then you're late. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. So I just hope the rest of the class will catch up pretty soon. Now, I'm gonna. So we're done with the topic two. So we're moving on to topic three today. But actually, we are we're done with, we're almost here, right? By the main lecture, you must be all caught up to these are uh, the main lecture that are active and current and active, right? So the previous ones you must have already watched and studied, right? Previous ones you must have already watched. And if you if you haven't, uh, you know where to go. My YouTube channel, because whatever is past uh, and no longer available on Blackboard, you must go to you can find them in my YouTube channel. Okay, so time value of money, and uh, this is nothing new. We already know. I mean, you need to download these two files, and especially this one is Excel file. You must download and have it in front of you. Okay. Now, there is something wrong with the whiteboard. I don't think I can, because it's not. All right. So uh, the files that I used to use is gone. I cannot retrieve it anymore. But if I try to open a new whiteboard, it doesn't open. It doesn't open. So I'm going to have to either use whiteboard online. Okay. So all right. So something's not right with my white. So um, so basically, we already know what compounding is, right? Compounding is about finding future value. Wow, it's a lot easier on the online version. I've been struggling with the so maybe so basically, compounding is we talked about this in topic one, right? Uh, Finding the future value, right? Uh, when the principal or present value is given, right? And we're trying to find the future value uh, through compounding or, by using compound interest rate. Compound interest rate. And you remember from topic one, right? There are uh, compound interest rate and simple interest rate. And compound interest rate is used in capital market, which is the long-term financial market. Used in K market, capital market. And simple interest rate is used in money market, which is short-term financial market, right? And we know short-term means maturity under 1 year, and uh, long-term means maturity above 1 year. So uh, basically, uh, we used, compounding. The compounding concept of compounding first came up in the house value example. Remember that? In the house value example, right? Why? Because anything that grows over time, right? Anything that has, growth rate um, over time, uh, because of the growth is the result of compounding, right? Uh, uh, we had to use, a geometric average to find the annualized annualized version of, if you annualize holding period return, annualizing the holding period return will result in you will need to uh, uh, you arrive at, annualized return. Okay, maybe I should annualized return R, but this annualization, oops, what's going on? Okay. Oh, yeah. And for this annualization, right? Yeah, what's going on? We need to use geometric average, right? Looks not, doesn't look good. So to annualize, right? How do we annualize it? By geometric average, right? And it was all because, because there is a compounding, right? And something that grows over time. Um, so we already know basically a lot about compounding, right? First of all, if so, this is, a very base formula in compounding, basically finding future value, right? But think about it. The fact that we have future value and the fact that the future value is the unknown, uh, future value is unknown, right? That's the unknown quantity, right? The others are known quantity. P and R and N are all known quantity. They are known quantity, right? We want to know what the future value is going to be because uh, we know principal and interest rate and how long it's going to take, right? So in other words, for example, you want to put 10K in the bank. So principal is 10K. You want to put 10K in the bank, and interest rate is, what's happening? times interest rate is 10%. So APR 10%, 1.1 for 5 years. Let's say you want to know. So in other words, 5 years is known, N is known, R 10% is known, principal 10K is known, and what's going to be the future value? That's the only unknown, right? Of course, we can do it easily with a calculator. It's not a difficult thing. So let me open. So it's going to be 10,000 times 1.1, right, raised to 5. Not a difficult thing. 16,105.1. It's going to come to right? 16,000. So we can find easily. But then the next question is, because there are 4 variables, that means each of these 4 variables can be the unknown, right? In other words, with 4 variables, there can be 4 different questions, each asking for different unknowns, right? So think about it. Second case, we can think about the second possible question. Second question is, what if P is the unknown? In other words, future value is known, but P is the unknown, and everything else is known. How do you solve for P then? This is the unknown. Okay. P is the unknown, right? Maybe that was. P is the unknown, right? And then the rest of them are known, right? Future value or N. So it's quite plausible to it's quite plausible to think about a situation where, such as you need 16,105 5 years from now. Currently, the bank interest rate is 10%. Then what should be the principal? In other words, how much do I need to put into the bank today to reach my goal of 16,105, right? Given 10% APR and 5 years, right? That's the second question that can come out of this, right? And the third question then would be, of course, about R. Fourth question is going to be about N, right? So the third question is, what's the R will be the unknown, right? The fourth question, N is the unknown. In other words, you have $10,000 now today, right? And you want to grow it to 16,105 in 5 years. What should be the interest rate, right? And N, you have $10,000 now. You want to grow it to 16,105. Currently, the interest rate is annual interest rate is APR is 10%. How long will it take? How many years will it take? In other words, so all of these are possible questions that can arise from the base formula of compounding, right? So I'll call this the base formula, right? But we can, but all of these questions can be answered easily because it's basically solving for a different variable of the same equation. You can always, and actually this one, you already know. You've seen it. You just don't remember. You just can't make connection. You just can't connect it with, well, when? When did we learn that? You know this already. You've seen this already. Where? Of course, in topic one. If you, if you're sharp, at least, if you may not immediately make the connection, but you can go back to topic one and, go over the lecture and you will see. And this is something new, but we're gonna do all that, right? Finding n, this is something new. So first, let's go to, and I told you to download that file, right? Time value, right? I want you to open that. And do you have it in front of you? Do you have it in front of you? You should have this in front of you. Let me blow it up a little. Do you all have this Excel file in front of you? I hear nobody saying anything. Do you all have that Excel file in front of you?
I don't at the moment because I'm in transit.
Oh, okay. But please, make a note to yourself to as soon as ASAP, as soon as you get home or wherever you need to have this because we're gonna use this file, right? We're gonna and you need to do this. This is a hands-on thing. How about Daniela? Do you have this file in front of you, Daniela?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Alan Suarez, do you have this file in front of you? Alan?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Deely, do you have this file in front of you? Deely? Yeah, you're not. Matthews, you have this file in
Yeah, I
front of
do.
you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And it's all blank, right? I mean, highlighted cells are blank, right? You need to have highlighted cells blanked out. So are they blank? The highlighted cells, are they blank?
Yes.
Okay. How about you, Usman? Do you have it in front of you, Usman? Usman?
Oh yeah.
Okay. It's blanked out, right? The highlighted
Yeah.
cells are all blank. Is that right?
Yes.
Rainier, okay. Rainier, do you have it in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Rose, do you have it in front of you? Rose Israel. Okay, Rowan, do you have it in front of you?
I don't. I'm on my phone right now, but I can pull it up when I get home on my computer.
Yeah, well, how soon do you think you'll get home? Because this requires.
I can try to put it up on my phone right now.
Oh, okay. If it is possible, please do so. But phone is very limited. Phone has a very small screen. It's really not that conducive to. Phone is not really conducive to using Excel. All righty. So first, take a look at row 2 and row 3, right? They look like the same example, but there's a difference in column D. Column D, label of column D is M. What does that mean? We're going to get to that later, but first, principal, right? That means principal. APR, annual percentage rate, annual percentage. Time in years, right? Now, this one is, to match our example, let's change that to 5. Okay, if you change it to 5, you will see this one also turns into 5 because I made it equal to C2. So whatever happens to C2 will happen to also C3. Now, so let's find the future value. Right, for now, ignore column D. We all know the future value is, principal times 1 plus APR, right, the rate, raised to, and I've been telling you that symbol, that's the universal machine language for raising something to power. Okay, so we raise it to 5 years and hit enter. There you go. Same result. We got the result, right, by calculator. But I prefer to do it on Excel because later you will see Excel. There's a lot of benefit from using Excel. I'm going to show you. Then let's go to row 3. Now here, we need to understand what this M is. The M means, M stands for actually, actual compounding frequency per year. It's compounding frequency per year. Okay. So, M is compounding frequency per year. That means how many compoundings happen per year? It can be 1, 2, 4, 12, 52, 365, and even more. What does this mean? If compounding frequency is once a year, that's annual, just once a year, annual compounding. So the example we just did, that's annual compounding, just once a year. And if it is 2, what's that? It's twice a year, semi-annual. Every 6 months. So the compounding happens every 6 months, right? Then 4, quarterly. Quarterly, right? 4 times a year, right? At the end of every quarter, right? 12, that's monthly. It goes without saying, monthly. 52, then that's weekly. But it's not used very often. 52 is not used very it's not used very often, right? 365, of course, daily, right? 12, monthly, of course. then think about it. If compounding is, think about it. If APR is 10%, when the compounding is semi-annual, right? If the compounding is semi-annual, you cannot every 6 months, right? It cannot be 10%. It cannot be 10%. It should be adjusted for compounding frequency. Think about it. If APR is 10% for semi-annual compounding, it has to be 5% every 6 months. 5%, right? And if it is quarterly compounding, it will have to be 2.5% every quarter, right? So in other words, because of this M, the compounding frequency per year, APR will have to be adjusted for compounding frequency. Now that is called, and so that will be represented by R. So R is the actual rate that gets compounded. So R is a generic notation. R stands for, many things: real interest rate, rate, return. But if compounding is quarterly, then obviously it cannot be 10% every quarter, right? The rate that actually applies will have to be the APR adjusted by that compounding frequency. Therefore, this is called periodic rate. Moving this, okay, better. Periodic rate. I think I can just write right below it, periodic rate. Literally, that means the rate that applies each compounding period, right? That the rate that applies every compounding period. And also that because of the compounding frequency, it will bring a change also to actual number of compounding. So far, time was represented by T, which means, which is in years, right? In our example, it is 5 years. But look, this needs to be also adjusted, because if the compounding is semi-annual, twice a year, right? Over 5 years, there will be how many compoundings? How many compoundings will there be? Okay, this is a question. If compounding is semi-annual, right, twice a year, so for over 5-year holding period, how many compoundings will happen? Anyone?
10.
10.
Yeah. Who said 10? Someone.
There's two of us. It was Rowan and Cedric, I think. There was two of us, Rowan and Cedric.
Yeah, Rowan. Okay. And who else? Who said 10? I heard one.
I said 10, but I don't know if you heard it though.
No, I'm sorry. I heard Rowan. I guess the first voice was Rowan. Second voice was a lady. Second voice
I
was a
said 10.
lady. And who is that?
Daniela.
Daniela. Okay, Daniela. Cedric, I'm sorry you didn't. I heard only two voices. But I understand it. Maybe due to a connection. Sometimes it is. So yeah, I will definitely so I will make sure, I will listen. I will carefully listen. Okay. Uh, where was I? Um, 5 years, then you understand. Uh, if compounding is semi-annual, then uh, there's going to be 10 compoundings. And if quarterly, M is 4. If it is quarterly, then over 5 years, there's going to be 20 compoundings, right? So actual number of compounding is T times M, and that's called N. And this is nothing new. We've been calling, number of compoundings, N. But again, now it's more generic symbol. It's literally actual number of compounding. Okay, actual number of compounding. Now, so then we can come to we can go to the second example. Now we understand what this is. Okay, 5 years, $10,000, 10%, but compounding is quarterly. Oh, then we will make adjustment like this, right? So then, what you're gonna do is, principal times 1 plus APR or M is to open parentheses 5 times T times M. Okay, and so some people may wonder, do I need the parenthesis around C3 times D3? Yes, you need. Why? It's PEMDAS, right? You know what PEMDAS is, right? If you don't do that, Excel will raise that, to C3 only, and then the result of that will be multiplied by D3. So it's going to be a completely different thing. To prevent that, you need to put parentheses. And so you hit enter. Okay, so that's the future value in 5 years. But then think about it. We can tell, oh, it's same principal, same APR, same 5 years, but the future value will be different. The future value is greater. The future value is greater when compounding frequency is higher. We come to this conclusion. Yeah, the higher the compounding frequency, the greater the future value, right? And also, we can copy this and drag it up, and it doesn't change anything. I mean, it doesn't change the number, but the formula has been changed. But because now we have APR divided by M, T times M. But of course, because M is 1, it's not gonna make any difference. It's not gonna make any difference. Still, the importance of keeping it uniform. I mean, I would, in everything, if there's a system means, there's a uniform rule, uniform governing rule, right? And that's important. All the models must have, I mean, it's better. I mean, why would you have a different formula in here, right? When it is just the same problem, when it's the problem of the same pattern, right? Uniformity, consistency, uniformity, and conciseness. This is the rule that prevails everywhere, right? Consistency, uniformity, and conciseness. That's the rule that prevails everywhere. Now, let's take a look at row 6, and you would instantly notice that it's the same thing as number 3 or row 3. But actually, it's actually number 1, number 2. This is number 3. But then the only difference is that I have 2 additional columns. And what are these 2 additional columns for? What I'm trying to do is I want to make this adjustment, APR over M and M times M, outside the formula, not inside the formula, right? So that the formula will still be the simple form like this. Okay, so it's not a difficult thing. We know R is APR divided by M, right? And then N is T times M. Okay, there you go, so 20. And then the future value will be then P times plus R, the periodic rate, is to N. Okay, so we get the same result. But this way, the formula is simpler. The formula is simpler. Okay, and there's a benefit to a simpler formula, because if the formula is simpler, then if something goes wrong, if you made a mistake, it's easy to detect or identify the source of the error. Okay, it's easy to, if it is, the more complex the formula gets, it's more difficult to, if there's any error, it's going to be more difficult to identify the source of the error, right? So there's a benefit to a simpler formula, right? And besides, and then also, this is the beauty of using Excel. Now we have not only one, but like 6 more problems or 5 more problems. 5 more problems. But these problems are all of the same pattern. If they are of the same pattern, if they are all of the same pattern, you don't need to solve it all over again, right? Think about it. In Excel, all you can do is you can highlight all of those 3 cells and just drag it down. And then automatically it's going to replicate the formula there, right? So you can solve multiple problems in a single shot, right? Because what gets copied is the formula, right? Compare this with solving it by a calculator. If you solve it by a calculator, no matter what kind of calculator, what type of calculator you have, it's not going to be this simple. You will have to input all these different data all over again. Repeat it, and repeat the same calculation all over again. In other words, you have to solve it one by one all over again. And that's a very tedious thing, right? It's going to be very tedious. I mean, repetitive, if it is a repetitive job without too much meaning, why do you keep repeating the same thing over and over again, which doesn't add any meaning, right? So, so this is the beauty of Excel. It cuts down on all those tedious, repetitive work, and somehow some people are concerned that this will encourage, or this will facilitate or encourage plagiarism. Now that is ridiculous. Why? First of all, if you copy and paste like this, you're copying your own work. At least that means you have to solve the first problem yourself. You solve the first problem on your own, right? You will solve the first problem on your own, and then you're copying your own work. Copying your own work is not plagiarism. Cannot be called plagiarism. You just copied your own work. How can it be a plagiarism? If you're copying others' work, that's plagiarism. Okay, but this was the argument actually raised by Josh Wolfson, the chair of the accounting department, 20 years ago. Because 20 years ago, I demonstrated this. Uh, in front of an audience, and in the audience, in that audience was Josh Wolfson, and he was then saying these days students are getting lazy and they don't want to do the math themselves, their work. So isn't it going to be like teaching them to copy the work, copy and paste? That means isn't it going to spur plagiarism among students? That was at the time, that was 20 years ago, and uh, I found it really I found it really silly to even answer that question. So I didn't even refute. I didn't even rebut it. But because the rebuttal is quite obvious. You're not copying somebody else's work. You are copying your own work. And how can it be bad? How can it be plagiarism? Besides, this is efficiency, not because what is the meaning of repeating the same problem, same calculation over and over? I mean, you have already proven that you are able to do this. You are capable of doing this. If you're capable of solving this problem, and then the rest of them are just the same pattern. And then if they are just same pattern, just different problems, more problems of the same pattern, why not just replicate your own work? If you have to do it one by one, that's going to take a lot of time. That totally defeats the purpose of using Excel, right? So anyway, that is what how you do. That is what M is, and how you do future value of annuities, which is basically compounding. So we're gonna take a 10-minute break. It's 3:51 now. We're gonna take a 10-minute break and come back 10 minutes later. Reconvene like 4:01 or 2. Okay. All righty. 10 minutes. All right, we're back. We're back. So we need to now move on to the next set of questions, right? But before we do that, let me make sure. Let me check. How many of you did you all get this? Did you all get this right? Did you all get the same result?
Yes.
Okay, at least one person. I believe there were two voices. At least two people uh, answered. Two people got it right. I don't know about the rest of the class, but I don't think it was that difficult to get this right. And you're just using my template, so uh, everything is just everything is mechanical, right? You just enter the formula correctly, then you'll get it right. Now, let's tackle the next question. The next question was, okay, I have, okay. Uh, Next question was, what if P was the unknown? What if P is the unknown, right? If P is the unknown, then the question is, it becomes the question of future value equals P times 1 plus R raised to N. And then, as I said, this is the unknown, right? But the others are known. The rest of them are known, right? Now, uh, so it's like this, you have, your target goal is, 10, 16,000 something. What was the 16,105, right? Your target goal is, 16. What's that? Whatever. 16. 16,105.1, right? That's, you need this, that, in 5 years, right? Under 10% APR, right? Ah, that is not right. 10% APR. So question is, what should be the principal, right? So that's called, what is this? So then, this is a problem about, finding principal, right? And solving, the key to solving any equation, right? No matter how complex it may be, always keep this in mind. A key to solving any equation is to identify. Let me use. It is to identify z equals x times y structure, z equals x times y format, right? And once you identify this z equals xy times format, right, then it's, the problem is solved, because if this is the unknown, if x is the unknown, right, X is the unknown, right? What do you do? If X is the unknown, many limitations in whiteboard. First of all, when the screen is, I have like, I don't know, this must be like 15-inch screen or not a small screen, but it still gives me a hard time. Solving for X is simple, X is Z divided by Y. Isn't that right? It's just like, we all know 3 times 4 equals 12. Then what is 4? It's 12 divided by 3. What is 3? How do you find 3? 12 divided by 4, right? It's just the same idea. And here, in our example, this is Z, right? And of course, that's P, X is P principal, right? And then this whole chunk, this is just one chunk, right? Isn't that right? 1 plus R raised to N. It's just one chunk of number. That is Y, right? So then finding P is easy. It's totally, then P is FV over 1 plus R. My handwriting. It's not just my handwriting, it's just skidding. My stroke is, skidding. So what's happening? Okay, it's simple. FV over 1 plus R raised to N. And this is called, so we already know the answer then, because, it's just the reverse process. It's just the reverse process of compounding. So principal will have to be 10,000 because we already know we already know this is the future value, right? N is 5 years. APR 10%. If you plug in these numbers, we'll have to arrive at exactly 10K, right? So we can, because we started from 10K and arrived at future value of 16,105, right? If you reverse the process, then you would have to arrive at 10K, right? That's just the that's just a sensible thing and a rational thing, but if you want to verify that, let's actually find it out. Okay, so here this was now changed to 6% and 50K, but let me change this back to so let's change this to 10%. Go to row 14, right? And make it equal to 10% 5 years, and make this equal to this and make this equal to, because it's quarterly, right? We'll still get 10K. Make that equal to that. And let's solve this. Future value over 1 plus APR is to n. Hit enter, 10,000. Right? You should get 10,000. And how about this one? It's just making adjustment to it's just making adjustment by m, right? So FV over 1 plus APR divided by m raised to T times m. You should get exactly 10K, right? Same thing. And you can copy this and drag it, drag it up. Now the formula is uniform now. It's reflecting m, right? Adjustment by m, reflecting the adjustment by m, right? So we're good. Now let's change that to the original. I believe it was 6% previously, right? I believe it was 6%, and this was 50,000, right? What if the problem was like this? Right? It's going to automatically adjust itself. What if, your target future value, in other words, you have a target future value, right? Target future amount is 50,000. Currently, interest rate is 6%. Your timeline is 5 years. So 5 years later, you want to have 50K. Currently, interest rate is 6%. What do you need to put into the bank as principal today? That's going to be, it's going to give you 37 something, right? And if compounding is quarterly, it even requires smaller principal. And I've been telling you, I told you, the more the compounding frequency, the higher the compounding frequency, the greater the future value. Now, if the future value is the same, that means you need smaller principal to arrive at the same future value, right? That's what it says. So, are you guys good? You all got the same result? Did you all get the same result? What's going on? I have only 9 people now. I have how many people here? In the forum, I have.
Yes, Professor, I got the same thing.
All right, I can trust you, Daniela. I can count on you. What about other people? Did you get the same result?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good, Usman. All right, 2 people, at least 2 people got the same result. Now, so let me move on to the next question. Next question is, again, the base formula, right? Remember the base formula is this, right? And I told you this is the base formula, but depending on, what is the this was number 2, right? P is the unknown. Number 3 was, if future value is the unknown, then of course the base formula, right? If P, number 3, R is the unknown. Number 3, what if R is the unknown? Right? But this is something you already know. How? You remember? This is exactly the geometric average. Okay. You learned geometric average already, but this is geometric average, right? Why? Because there's compounding going on here, right? Compounding going on here. And think about it. Future value is the compounded result of the principal and the principal growing at R each year, right? Every year, every compounding period, right? Remember that? So, and remember, what was the compounding, what was the geometric average? Geometric average is, how do you find geometric average? And at the time you learned, basically G equals, and I told you, G growth rate is the same thing as R in scenario 1, right? When there's no additional cash flow, no additional injection of cash flow, then the growth is straight from the initial value. And there, what did I give you? Future value over present value raised to n minus 1, right? That was the, and so simply G is R in scenario 1, but then also at the time, a future value was, it's so difficult. Future value was also written as what? Like price at time t plus n, right? And also present value was expressed as what? Price at time t. Okay. And I probably didn't mention this. When you solve for present value, principal, that's also called present value. Why? Because that's what, principal is what that future value is worth today. Principal is what that future value is worth at time 0 today, so present, so present value. Okay, so basically you learn geometric average formula, but then the question is, at the time, I couldn't explain to you how that formula is, how that formula came about. Now I can tell you. This is the time to do that. First of all, let's think about it. First of all, we will need to isolate R, but there is no way you can isolate only R. The first thing what you can isolate is basically this term, right? This term. So what do you need to do? Then you must first, divide both sides by P. And in the right-hand side, you will have 1 plus R raised to N. Now, if N is 1, you can simply open up this cage, right? This is like a cage. The parenthesis is the cage. And this N is like the padlock. It's like the padlock on it, right? And if N is 1, the padlock will go away, right? The padlock will go away if N is 1. But N is not 1, right? So we need to, then our question is, how do we isolate, um, how do we isolate 1 plus r? So here's the some, step aside, right? We'll need to step aside and review the math behind it. Review the math. So first of all, we'll know we all know x squared, some, rule of, exponents, and this is also well explained here. In the PDF file, please study this, right? The rule of exponent, right? But first of all, we know you can turn x squared into x by, if we take the square root, now, if you take the square root of x, then it's going to be x, right? It's going to be it. And originally, you think square root looks just like this. No, square root originally has to have 2 here, right? But, we just omit it because most of the times it's about square root. But it's not only square root. There is not only square root, but also, x to the x cubed or x to the third power. How do you turn this into how do you turn it into x? You take the third root or third radical. Third root or third radical, right? Then it turns into x. So this way, even x to the nth power even x to the nth power, by taking the nth radical or nth root, you can turn it into x, right? And another way of expressing all this, right? In other words, I need that. If you're taking a square root of something, right, you can also express it like raised to half, right? X squared raised to half. That's square root of x squared, right? And just like that, this one, raising to the power of 1/3, that's taking the cubic root. And then, just the same way, by taking the nth radical, or raising it to 1/n, you turn that into x, right? You turn that into x. Right? So, sometimes you will see, whatever it may be. A raised to 1 over n, right? That's the nth radical of A, right? And then a couple of more rule of exponents. I'm running out of time, so first of all, here. Anything raised to 0 is 1, right? But why? You just memorized it, but I will show you why. And then negative exponent, something raised to -1, it's reciprocal, right? X raised to -1, that will be 1 over x. X raised to -2 is 1 over x squared. Okay? And when the base is the same, so here, okay, x to -1, 1 over x. X raised to -2, 1 over x squared, right? And then x raised to a times x raised to b. When the base is the same, you can do x raised to a plus b. As a simple example, just try out. I don't have much time. Okay, just try out. Like 2 squared, 2 cubed times 2 squared. 2 cubed is 8. 2 squared is 4. That's 32. That's exactly 2 to the 5th power. You just add them, right? There are a couple of more things, but I'm gonna talk about it next time because I just don't have time to talk about it today. But if you understand, if you understand this, right? At least, if you understand this rule, right? Now we can apply that rule here. In other words, and also, one more thing. The reason it becomes x is, think about it. That's the rule of, another thing is, x to the a raised to b, right? X to the a raised to b is x to the a times b. Simple example. Try this. 2 squared raised to the 3rd power. We already know it's 4 over 4 cubed is 64. But it's also, what did I do? But it's also same thing as 2 to the 6th, right? It's 2 to the 6th. So if you understand the rule, now it's not difficult to understand that the reason it becomes x, look, x squared times 1 over 2, and they cancel out. It becomes x, right? X cubed times, right? 1 over 3, 1 over 1/3, they cancel out. It becomes x, right? X to the 1, which is x, right? The same thing. X to the nth power times 1 over n, x, right? So by taking the nth root, nth radical, you can free up that padlock. You can open that padlock. So that means what you need to do here is we want to take the nth radical of the right-hand side. We want to take the nth radical, which is, doing this. But whatever you do to the right-hand side of the equation, if you do this to the right-hand side of the equation, you must do the same to the left-hand side of the equation too, right? So, because equation means, the right-hand side and the left-hand side are balanced out. So if anything is done to the one side, the same must be done to the other side as well. So you will raise this left-hand side also by 1 over n, right? Okay, and then we know I'll just call this we know the right-hand side will lose, will be just 1 plus r, right? Because this n and this n will cancel out, right? Everyone understands. It's like 3 times 1 over 3, right? It will cancel out and become 1, right? So we lose the padlock on the right-hand side, and that means we're going to lose also we can open up the cage, right? We open up the cage, and then on the left-hand side we'll still have the thing in the bracket raised to 1 over n, right? Now we are home free. Now what is the unknown that we are trying to solve for? This is the unknown we are trying to solve for, right? Then all you need to do is move 1 to the other side, or subtract 1 from both sides, right? Subtract 1 from both sides, and then the thing in the bracket over raised to 1 minus 1, raised to 1 over n, right? Minus 1. That's r. That's r. And then we rearrange the sides, and put r to the left, Then we have FV over P raised to 1 over n minus 1. Okay? Finally, there you go. We arrived at this conclusion. We arrived at the formula for all, which is exactly what I gave you at the beginning of the semester for, at the time, I forgot to do this, 1 over n. I gave you this, right? Growth rate is, right? Geometric average, right? It's also called compounded annual growth rate, also called CAGR, compounded annual growth rate. There's a reason why, it is called CAGR. It's compounded. That's exactly this. Isn't it right? It's exactly this. We arrived at this. Okay. It doesn't look nice. Maybe. All right, so any questions? Any questions? Any questions? That's all the time we have for today. That's all the time. So if you don't have any questions, so I'll take the questions if you do. And if not, I'm going to have to call it a day. So any questions? Any questions? All righty, I'll take it as no. So have a great afternoon, everyone, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Once again, from next Monday, March 28th, return to in-person mode. Okay? All right. Stop recording.